can be said that we've been exploring the nature of divine psychology, but we can ask ourselves, what is this divine psychology? It's already been suggested that to become divine scientists, physicists and alchemists, we have had to learn and understand the subtle workings, laws and chemistry of existence. Does that mean to become divine psychologists, we have to learn and understand the subtle ways of the psyche? And if so, what is this psyche? Is it the mind? Is it consciousness? But we know that in our exploration, in learning and coming to understand the subtle ways of life, we have come to learn what the real meaning of science, physics and alchemy means. So perhaps as we explore by way of these stories what it is that manifests, we can learn what psyche means. Is it mind? Is it consciousness? But that's perhaps for down the track a ways. There's a story about a great Zen master called Wu Tzu. And Wu Tzu, not only was he renowned throughout the land as a great Zen master, but he was also the advisor to the emperor of the day. But Wu Tzu would often go out and become just a wandering mendicant. And he was out on one of these pilgrimages, you might call, when on his way back to the capital, Kyoto, a rainstorm came and he became totally drenched. And his straw sandals became so wet they were just disintegrating on his feet. But it so happened that he came to a farmhouse that had in its window straw sandals for sale. So he knocked on the door and asked to purchase a pair of these sandals, but the woman who answered the door could see his bedraggled and besodden state and invited him in to dry out before he took his sandals. So Wu Tzu was invited into the farmhouse and put by the fire and dried out, and he was introduced to the mother of the woman of the house and the children. But Wu Tzu noticed that this whole family were very sad. There was no joy in their countenances. So he asked them, and the wife of the household, with tears in her eyes, explained that her husband was somewhat of a ne'er-do-well. He gambled and he drank, and when he didn't have any money, he borrowed money from others that put them in debt, so they never seemed to even have enough to eat. And Wu Tzu inquired where the husband was, and the wife explained that he was out at the tavern again, imbibing. She didn't know what time that he would return to the household. But Wu Tzu said, "Take this money." And he gave the wife some coinage. He said, "Go and buy a flagon of wine and some fish, and you go and rest. Let me stay here by the fireside, which was quite close to the little shrine that was there to the deity of the day. So the wife went off and bought the things that had been asked for, and then she went to retire with her mother and family, and Wutsu took his place beside the shrine and the fireplace and went into meditation. But sometime afterwards there was a great banging and crashing at the door, and a very drunken husband entered the household, shouting out, "Wife, wife, I'm hungry, bring me something to eat." But Wutsu was there, and he said, "Oh, your wife has retired, but I have some food and wine here. Please partake of it." So the husband quaffed down the wine and the food, and then lay on the floor and went fast asleep. And in the morning, having forgotten what had transpired the night before, the husband woke up to find this stranger and, of course, asked, "Who are you?" And Wutsu said, I'm Wutsu. I'm on my way to the capital of Kyoto." And of course everyone knew of Wutsu. He was renowned throughout the land. And of course the husband was very, very abashed, very ashamed and embarrassed. And Wutsu merely made a remark to the husband. And with that, there was a great shift and change take place in this man. And of course, after joining together with the family for rice and tea, Wutsu was about to take his leave from the household when the husband of the household said, let me accompany you a ways. I can carry your goods." So Wutsu agreed to this, and the husband accompanied Wutsu down the road for several miles. And then Wutsu said to him, "Well, perhaps you can go back to your family now." And the man said, "No, please, let me come a little further with you." So the man accompanied Wutsu a few more miles. And Wutsu said, now, perhaps you can return to your village." And the man said, "No, I'm going to follow you wherever you go." And when it came time for Wutsu to name a successor and one who would carry on his teachings, it was the ne'er-do-well husband who followed him. Divine psychology recognizing also that every story is our story, so we're exploring our own self. To explore our own self, is it to explore our mind? Is it to explore our consciousness? Is it to explore our psyche? What is this divine psychology? Knowing that to claim that the mastership of it We have to become divine psychologists, as we did divine scientists, divine physicists, and divine alchemists, by exploring, learning the ways of existence. So what does it mean for us to explore the ways of the psyche that is psychology? Psychology. How does this story contribute to our exploration? What was it? Was it the words of the Master Wu Tzu? Was it the phrase that he spoke when the drunken husband awoke? Was it in the words that he spoke? Or how would you perceive the working of divine psychology in this story from your experience? Interaction with life. The psyche.